transition going. Hey everyone, welcome to the patch. This week brought to you by Blue Apron. Yay, right in the middle.
Oh wow, right in the middle.
I use Blue Apron.
Blue Apron's great.
We were literally just talking about starting it. I'm very excited.
We'll talk more about our wonderful sponsor a little later in the show. But for now, introductions.
Hi, I'm Greg Miller. How are you?
Yay, welcome Greg.
On the show that I do here, it's called The Free Plays. I like when people clap. Nobody claps on the show and it makes me sad.
Oh, that's
I'll
weird.
clap for it.
Thank you.
I'm Greg Miller.
Yep.
Kind of funny.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what you should get as a guest.
You're right.
It makes you feel good. Meg Turney.
Gus.
Thank you.
Clap at home.
Gus.
What is that? Can you go back to that shot
And-
you just cut to?
And Gus.
Is it gone now? They cut to like this weird in between us shot, like the spirit of Gus was between us.
And
Room for the Holy Ghost.
Yeah,
room
for the Holy Ghost.
you stole my joke.
Sorry.
You stole my chair and you stole my joke.
He was
They
like,
all
"Where's
said-
my
I went
sit?"
and
Yeah.
They all said you were gonna get mad if I took your chair. You took
It's
it in
not
stride.
his,
You
yeah,
said
it's not his fault.
I'm used to, I'm excited about sitting in this other chair.
I stole
It's
your
Ryan's chair.
I cut you open. You don't get mad about anything.
Yeah, I'm cool, man. I'm easygoing, despite my
You're gonna flip
despite
a
my
tape.
persona.
10 years from now,
I'm
you'll
gonna
strike me down.
spit all in that water that you're drinking. It's a little weird wearing the earpiece in my right ear. I'm gonna have to get used to it. It's like driving on the left side of the road.
Sure,
I'm gonna get
sure.
used to it. So here we're here for the patch. We're to talk about video games, video game news, stuff we've been playing. So this week, we're doing Game Club. Game Club is back at the end of this. We play a game and then talk about it in depth. And Greg's going to be joining us. We're talking about Life is Strange, which is a game that I think dominated a lot of my playtime in the past week leading up to this. So I didn't get a chance to play a lot of new stuff. Life is Strange is one of those games, and we've talked about this at length, where it's like one of those episodic games where that's when I did my cutoff. I was like, I can't wait for more episodes anymore. I'm just gonna wait till it's done. And I'm glad it finally came up in Game Club because it was my excuse to finally get back and finish the game and play it. So, but we'll be talking more about that after the patch. But speaking of episodic games, you listed one of the games you're playing this week as being the new Walking Dead series.
Right? They finally started up Walking Dead Michonne, so I had to
Michonne.
jump in. 3 episodes. It's not the normal 5-episode run from Telltale. And it's also filling in the gap of the comic book, which I thought was exciting. Being a big Walking Dead fan in all genres, not to spoil too much for you, but The Walking Dead at one point jumps ahead in time. And so you come back and you don't understand 100% where people are. And when they reintroduced Michonne in that, we had known she had been gone, and this is filling in that gap. And so for episode 1, it did what you'd expect a Telltale game to do. It's interesting. There's no closure or anything. I still have a million questions as to what's going on, why she's with this group, and so on and so forth. But it's exciting. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. It's what I like about those games, making the decisions, seeing how they play out. And, the one thing I think you always say about Telltale games, right, is that they run like shit, and there's always a bug and a glitch. And they were doing a new presentation style for a few of the button prompts. I didn't have any crashes or anything like that, so that was nice playing on PlayStation 4.
So this one follows like a comic storyline?
This one it fills in the gap of a comic storyline.
So wait, is this canon now? Is
Yeah.
this considered? So this is like blessed by, because it's a partnership, right?
Yeah,
between
Skybound
Robert
/ Kirkman and Telltale, right? And that's how seasons 1 and 2 are as well. Season 1 and 2 are canon for the comic universe, and that's why you see Glenn introduced in season 1, and then they talk to Herschel a bit and stuff like that. But no Rick, nothing like that. They deviate, and they've always deviated. So there's always the fans at every convention ask Kirkman if Clementine's ever going to meet Carl or anything like that, and he's always very adamant that no, they're not going to do that because that'd be cheesy.
It's the
and weird.
universe, but we're really not touching on any of the comic
Exactly.
book stuff.
Let's tell stories differently.
I think is how or why Michonne didn't interest me, because I'm not a comic book fan. Like I wasn't in the show or any of that
And that's
stuff.
the really interesting thing for me. As you continue to play through this, they're going to have to talk about what drove her away, and then that is, in a way, unless they never do it, which is weird, going to spoil the fact of what happens in the comics, which theoretically will spoil what happens in the show to some extent.
You've
right?
got yourself a Game of Thrones there, my friend.
Here we are, just out into the wild. What happens? Who knows?
Who knows?
But no, it's interesting. The voice acting's good. It's I can't remember the actress's name now, of course, but one of the women from Orange is the New Black. She does a really good job playing Michonne, so it's not the the woman from the TV show or anything. But it's good. It feels natural. And what I found really interesting about it, right, when I play Walking Dead 1 or 2, and I'm playing as Lee or I'm playing as Clem, right, I'm playing as what I want them to do. Like, this is like the decision I'd make. These are every man, every woman characters I get to be. Whereas with Michonne, I'm playing it, and I'm very much like, Michonne wouldn't say that. Michonne wouldn't do that.
So you're playing it as the character.
Michonne
as
would be,
opposed
it's
to your
like
own
an
voice.
actual like role-playing game where I'm like, Michonne would be quiet here. She wouldn't say any of these things, and
That's
that's
cool.
different. Yeah.
Like, as someone who's never really read the comic, I look
You
forward
son
to
of a bitch.
ruining that character.
Yeah.
And having a totally different playthrough
Yeah,
than you would.
exactly. I have the first 2 issues, and so I think that means I'm a comic book expert, kids. That I never read. very exciting. Yeah, but no, I'm kind of waiting out to see. I guess it's really childish. I would like to preface this by saying it is really childish.
I know I'm wrong before I begin into this.
Right. You don't have to put it in the comic box, although you will. I feel like I should be, with my own not buying Michonne, punishing Telltale for not giving me more Clem.
Yeah, but I mean, they're going to get there.
I know, but I just give you more Clem.
I know, but
I don't want
to
to support you deviating from what I want you to do, and it's childish and shitty, and I will buy it because I love Telltale.
Yeah. Right.
But part of me feels that way.
I'll wait until all 3 episodes are out. Do they have a timeline? Have they announced a timeline for the
They
release?
claim that this one's going to be super quick. It's actually going to be like every other month, if not every month. I forget. I don't have that in front of me.
Yeah,
But
Every other
super
month,
quick.
super
it's one of
quick.
those, hey, for Telltale, where like where the fuck is the end of Minecraft? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was waiting on those, and then finally I was like, oh wait, and I googled it, and it's been forever since the last episode came out to where the new episode is.
Well, that was the best because Minecraft was like me and Gus were bitching about how long it takes Telltale to come out with stuff, and then Minecraft came out. Like 1 and 2 came out very like back to back.
Yeah.
People were like, "See, you jackasses, they're gonna be so quick now." And now where's your Red Sea bug god now?
I saw a retail box version of Minecraft Story Mode at a store over the weekend, and I was like, did they finish that?
Yeah, no.
Nope.
They've had that since episode 1 or 2. I think they put that out right away, and that was the big thing. I remember when that popped online that like, oh, Amazon's leaked that this is gonna have a retail, and I was like, well, there's no way that's the release date. They don't even have episode 1 out. How are they gonna do that? And then it's just the code, and you get everything inside of it.
Yeah.
But Telltale's fascinating. I love watching what they do because I like so many of their games. Colin always argues that they put out too much and that they're ruining the formula, but Colin doesn't play any of the games, so he's just being a naysayer from the sidelines. But it's awesome that I was there at the Age of Ultron screening where they announced that like we're working with Marvel, and I was like, oh man, that's awesome. I wish it was DC. And then in Game Awards, like we're making a Batman game. You're like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you haven't put out any Marvel games yet.
Guys, Greg Miller's grandmother coming to Telltale. It's like they do make a lot of games.
Right.
But I love The Walking Dead. They did some cool things with Game of Thrones. Like there are series that I'm interested in, but I do feel bitter when it's not. They're not working on the series that I want them to work on.
Sure.
And I should preface, I mean, as much shit as we talk, I buy all of the games.
Yeah,
they
we
put
do.
out.
We always do.
I love all of them. They're all fantastic games. They're really great stories. But I can share your opinion. Like after Walking Dead season 1 came out, and then they did 400 days.
Yeah.
I was like, it's okay. I want more Clem. You know, it was the same. It was the same kind
but
of
at least
thing.
400 Days was feeding you into season 2, whereas like this is completely different. This
And
is
it's
it's like The Walking Dead, Michonne, and it was like such a cock tease.
And I wonder how many people are picking it up, thinking it ties in the TV show, and then being like, well, there's no explanation of where this is. And are they ever going to touch on the fact that it's filling in this comic book thing? But are we going to talk about Ezekiel? Are we going to talk about this? Like, where does it matter? I don't know.
Nobody knows.
No one knows.
What about you, Meg? You got anything new you're playing this past week?
So this past week was the 20th anniversary of Pokemon. So as a good Poke lover, Poke pal, I picked up the old Pokemon Blue. I got it on my Game Boy SP clamshell. So that I played that this weekend a little bit as just a little nostalgia trip.
So, forgive me, I never gotten a Pokemon, so I need some explanation here. So
You
Pokemon,
gotta catch them all.
You do. That's it.
Not kill.
Yeah.
I'm doing it wrong. So Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow came out.
Are gonna be on the eShop. Yeah, they're out now on the eShop.
Are these re-releases?
Yeah, this is like these are re-releases of the original, the classic games. But I played the actual. I didn't go download it in the Wii eShop. I was like, I still have the cart. I'll just play it over here on this tiny screen.
If you don't get the wireless communication, that's what you know.
I don't get the Game Gear aspect of holding the fucking Wii U remote in my hand. I don't.
So it's so it came out on the Wii U eShop?
Yeah, it's on the Wii U eShop.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I like that. I feel like I never wanted to like the Wii U, but there've been a couple of titles where I'm like, all right, yeah.
They're on the 3DS though too, right? Because Michael's
I think they're on 3DS.
Yeah,
I
Michael
saw
over there. Yeah,
Michael's been
that's
playing
I think
it.
They're
that's
like on the. I think you can get both from the shops.
from just the eShops.
on the Wii U shop. I'm gonna fact check myself.
Fact check. Yeah, I think the last game that I really played a lot on the Wii U was Mario Maker.
Oh, you
And-
gotta play Yoshi's Woolly World.
Oh no, I did play Yoshi's Woolly
It's
World.
fun.
That's correct. Yeah, that's a beautiful game.
Very
yeah,
fun.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's annoying as hell to accidentally eat because Gavin and I play,
Yeah.
and you'll like accidentally eat the other person, and then it becomes like a weird microcosm for your relationship, which is like, why are you holding me back? Oh my god, let me go. But then it's really really fun. It gets really frustrating. It has the same thing where like when new Super Mario Brothers came out, and you'd like accidentally knock each other down into like a thing that really annoys me. But they have 100 bazillion different Yoshis. And so it's always a race to who's going to get the Yoshi you unlock in each level.
And of course,
It's
the
super
Yarn
cute.
amiibo.
Yeah.
Adorable.
With
So
the
jealous.
NFC
So
in the
jealous.
butt. In the butt.
So this is kind of a weird phenomenon that we see a lot in movies where two movies with a similar premise come out around the same time.
Yeah.
Does it strike anyone else as weird that Yoshi's Woolly World and Unravel come out like within like a month of each other?
Well, I mean,
but-
that's just Nintendo being a bunch of dicks. The fact that like Australia had it in like June,
Right, yeah,
like,
Woolly
they
World
had
came
it
out forever ago.
and then they held it forever to get it to America. Yeah,
Well,
you
and
feel
also
bad for Yarny.
there's also a. I mean, but Kirby's Epic Yarn
Sure.
was beforehand.
Yeah, of
I
course,
mean,
of
before
course.
Unraveled.
Yeah,
so.
but this is still like two
Oh, it's only on
yarn-based properties
3DS. I'm
coming
sorry.
out. Oh, 3DS.
Pokemon 3DS.
All right. It's
lied
two
to you.
like
I
yarn-based
lied to you.
properties coming out the same
It
time. It's like
is.
Dante's Peak and
Oh, Volcano.
Yeah, the other one.
Dante's Peak, so good though. Only one had Pierce Brosnan.
And then what was the other battle in Los Angeles and the Sky something?
I was thinking of what the asteroid ones.
was it?
Oh yeah,
Deep
Deep
Impact
Impact
and
and
Armageddon.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
All right. He's
Deep
saying,
Impact
what is
and
it?
Armageddon.
Skyline. That's it. Yeah.
Horrible.
Thanks for that, Stas.
Yeah. So it's just weird that those games come out around the same time. We got a few things that I want to talk about here, but I'm liking that we're talking about games that we're playing.
Yeah.
So last week we talked a bit about Firewatch, and the time we recorded the patch, I had not finished Firewatch yet.
Oh, you finished it.
So yeah, I finished it the day we filmed the patch. Yes, I finished it like as soon as we were done with the patch, I went and finished it.
I forgot. You put in the chat what you thought of it, and then you had to run away from the chat.
Yeah, like I was like, I love Firewatch. It's really good. Bye. Because some people are upset with the way the game ended,
Right.
but
Sure.
I was really
say
happy with the
most
entire experience.
sane,
I thought it
Reasonable
concluded well.
people.
It's one of those games where it like tries to. It reminded me a lot of Gone Home, where you kind of think maybe the game's one thing the whole time you're playing it.
Sure.
Then it kind of maybe like changes a little bit, and you get like a different resolution than what you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah, I see that.
No, it's an artistic choice that I respect as the game that it is. I absolutely respect the game for what it is. It is not the game I wanted it to be.
Yep, that's exactly how I feel.
Oh,
Like,
sorry.
because I was playing, when I remember I'd been wanting Firewatch for so long. It was on my
Right,
most anticipated
yeah.
list. And when I finally got it, you play through this amazing intro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I thought day 1 and 2, I was like, holy shit, this is the first game I'm playing in so long where it's delivering on all the expectation I had. And then I felt like it started, and it got like, wait, what does this mean? And why is this happening? And okay, and then it ends, you're like, all right, like we were talking earlier about the journey, right? The journey was good, and it was that the other, and I get to the end, and it's the same thing where it's like I understand what you were driving at, but it wasn't like out of the park for me, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I felt guilty for not liking it more than I did. I feel personally beholden to Ollie Moss for not liking it as much as I did. I feel like I've disappointed him as a fan.
You sure have.
I'm sure I have. And I respect what it was going to be, but like I play games because I want to play a game. I want to play an adventure. I don't want to play life. It's one of the reasons why I hated Sunset so much. I felt like
No,
friggin'
Sunset,
nothing
Sunset
happened
was
in that
totally
game.
different.
Nothing happened
Do not
in that
compare
game.
Firewatch and Sunset.
I will. I will compare them
No.
right now.
No.
Yes.
Sunset
Oh,
was.
interesting. Tell me, in Sunset, didn't you have a journey? It was like an emotional journey.
It was an
through-
emotional journey cleaning someone's house.
Right, but discovering
Lore.
discovering his little Billy Bob's, being a spy.
Oh.
You do all those things in Sunset, don't you?
Yeah, you do have a point there, Meg.
Thank you.
I will give you that.
Thank you.
But Firewatch, I felt like they did such a good job of creating that universe, and
was
just
so
looking
good.
at it, it was so beautiful. I really even liked the mechanic of the disposable camera. Just
Yeah.
like going around and taking photos. You said, did you forget to take photos?
I took one photo right when I got the camera, and then I completely forgot about it. So the credits were like one photo and then a bunch of white squares, and it just added to the disappointment of the ending. It was like an extra like slap in the face.
For
at
me,
the
it was
very
like, yeah, I
end.
took like 2 very nice panoramic shots, and then there's a pivot point in the game without spoiling anything, where I was like, oh, I am not getting in trouble for this, and I'm just like taking photos all the time. And it was like crime scene investigation photos of like, if anyone's gonna try to nail me, I'll nail them with this.
Yeah. I loved it, like to the point where I became very protective. Like every photo was precious because I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like. You only have so many photos on that camera. I was like, if I'm gonna take a photo, it really
Has to be
needs to
perfect.
mean something.
Yeah.
So like when the credits finally rolled, I was like, oh, I do remember that. Like, oh right, I was like, it was almost like
Looking through your vacation
Right, looking
photos.
at vacation photos. Like, oh, I remember this. I was doing this, and we were walking here.
Yeah.
And
I got a
thought this
bunch
was
of white
beautiful.
squares, and I was like, fuck, I was supposed to take photos.
But I thought it was a really cool mechanic, and I thought some of the stuff they released about like showing the model from a third-person perspective was really horrifying.
Oh yeah.
Like the giant arm that like grows out of the
Yeah.
backpack and then like slurps back in. Yeah, it was really cool.
It really, reminds you that you can be immersed in the game and you forget that it is a game. Like a hand isn't moving closer to your face, it's just a drawing that's getting really huge and looks like it's getting closer to your face. So it was cool to pull the curtain back and see that.
Sure.
The other thing I was really interested in was that song that's playing on the boombox when you first encounter the Skinny Dippers really early in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all read the backstory on that, but apparently for a long time, Camp Santo, is it Camp Santo or Campo Santo?
Campo Santo.
Campo Santo had some 80s song. I think it was a Bonnie Tyler song in there, but they felt like the song was too powerful and taken away from the moment. Like people were focusing on the song instead of the scene. So they found, and they didn't have a lot of money to license the song. So they found this couple who I think at the time were living in Louisiana who had made on their own like a throwback 80s inspired album. And so they were like, oh, can we just license one of the songs from your independently produced 80s pop synth album? And that's what they ended up putting in the game. And it's this husband and wife team who I think their band is called Cheap Talk. And the song's called Push Play. And you can listen to it all on SoundCloud. Like if you look it up on SoundCloud, it's been there for like 5 years. And
That's
it's just
awesome.
they just got contacted. It was just like right place at the right
I think
time.
they're just like the most excited people of all time.
I wonder when it
anything.
happened. They were just like, sure,
Yeah.
random video game person that we don't know anything. Do whatever the hell you want to.
I like to believe they were like, this is it. This is our break.
Our big break.
They got like a cake when the game came out and we're excited about it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one cool thing about Firewatch that I was talking about with our guys is the fact that there was like the range of opinions from like our Kevin, who was like, this is amazing, to Colin, who's like, I thought this totally missed. But what I loved about it is that every time we talk about it, it becomes a 45-minute discussion about it and this
Absolutely.
theme and that. And even the other games we all play and enjoy, right? I don't feel like that's how it ends, right? Like even Fallout, it was like, oh, I like Fallout, you like Fallout. What do you think of that? Settlements suck. All right, see ya. And then it was over. Whereas this one was like, well, I think they were driving at it because of this. Well, I made this choice in the beginning, and that's why I'm mad about the ending. And you're like, all right, that's cool.
No, definitely. I think a lot of people, and it drew people in for different reasons. I think
Yeah.
is one of the things that people really like, because it's like, oh, I wanted this to be a psychological thriller about some guy who's stalking you. Well, I wanted it to be an exploration of mental illness and
Yeah.
like all these different things that you feel like have brought you in. Man, that dream sequence where he's talking to her and he
Yep.
hears his wife, you're like, I was like, this is it. He's crazy. And
Yeah.
he's absolutely like going nuts. And maybe I'm not even in a forest. Maybe this is like my
Yeah.
own mind. And then it was
And
none of
well, there's that line where you can radio back to Delilah and say that, and I did it, and I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then she like shuts you down. And you're like, that was cool in a
Yeah,
way of like,
yeah.
like they're like nipping that in the bud.
Am
of,
I
like, are you
even here
crazy?
right now?
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what's wrong with you?
This isn't all about you, no.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it was good. Something else I was going to say, Firewatch. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I was so intent on listening to you.
Oh, well, as for what I will be playing this week, Dan's in town, so Towerfall is in order, as always. So
Y'all love
back
that
to
Towerfall.
Towerfall's awesome.
Yeah, I love Towerfall.
Yeah.
Obsessed. Love it.
Here, let me read a little bit about our sponsor, as long as we're talking about Towerfall. They made no connection at all. I don't know. I want to remind everyone this episode of The Patch is brought to you by Blue Apron. You need to know how to cook. Not only do you feel like you know your way around the kitchen, but cooking at home means eating healthier and saving money instead of ordering expensive takeout again. But where do you start? Blue Apron has you covered. For less than $10 per meal, Blue Apron delivers all the fresh ingredients you need to create home-cooked meals. Just follow the easy step-by-step instructions. Each meal can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. No overwhelming trips to the grocery store. No more sad takeout. No matter your dietary preferences, Blue Apron makes it a breeze to discover and prepare dishes like adobo-style chicken and spiced turkey burgers right in your own kitchen. Cook with ingredients you've never used before, like watermelon radishes, farro, and purple potatoes. Recipes are between 500 and 700 calories per portion. Delicious and good for you. Right now, you can get your first 2 meals for free at blueapron.com/thepatch. It's blueapron.com/thepatch. A better way to cook. You can see it right there. It's on the screen. Get 2 meals for free. You need to eat. You may as well eat free food. That's good.
Good point.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Blue Apron. Most days I go home, I get like 3 meals a week from them. Most days I go home and just like cook, and it's like even after I've been working all day, it's like, yeah, sure, it's fine, it's
Yeah.
easy, you like bust it all out.
Well, you
know?
get to put it on autopilot, right? Because
Right.
you have it all printed out. And it's just like wash the vegetables. Okay, cool. Cut them into circles. Great. Now it's done. Put them in the
Or
oven.
it's like, what should this look like? Oh, there's a picture.
Yeah,
Oh, like that.
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
cool. Yeah,
Am I
yeah.
doing this right? Yeah, there's always, am I doing this right? Okay, yeah, I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super handy. Highly recommend it. You got to eat, like I said. Why not? What else was I going to talk about? So you're going to be playing Towerfall this week.
Yeah.
So the other thing I want to talk about. Do you have anything else to say about Towerfall?
No,
I'm sorry.
no,
Okay.
that's it.
Want to make sure I
I
feel
was trying to
bad,
get.
like
I was actually just trying to
cut
buy
off.
you time to remember what you were thinking of.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was one of the games you got a chance to play Quantum Break.
Oh yeah, Quantum Break.
Oh,
Played
we
that last
talked
week.
about it.
Put it up on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames.
YouTube.
Let's play.
Oh yeah, you should plug your website.
Kindafunny.com.
Kindafunny.com.
Yeah, played Quantum Break, by far my most anticipated Xbox One title of the year, and it's one of those that I think since they announced it, like once you say Remedy Games is attached, I'm in. You know what I mean? Because what we're talking about here, you know, it's funny. We're talking about Life is Strange, Firewatch, Walking Dead, all this stuff. Like I always say I'm a story whore. You know what I mean? Like that's what I love, and that's what Remedy's so good at. And so when they showed Quantum Break and they show all the action, it's always like, all right, cool, yeah, you get to do all these time manipulation powers and whatnot. That's cool. And playing through that first chapter, it's another one where I was like, oh, please don't fuck this up. Because your first act is so good of playing through and getting the story and seeing. Because there's also my fear of like the uncanny valley, right? Because they're using Iceman and they're using the guy from Game of Thrones. They're using Dominic Monaghan. I'm like, oh, I hope this, and it all works. And you're walking around and it's totally one of those. All right, walk in and go to the lab, right? Or walk in and talk to this girl who's protesting and look through this and watch this video. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do this in everything. But even then, the story part was so good and interesting, right? Of like time collapsing upon itself and what happens in these experiments and whatnot. Getting them to go through and play, and then it's like, all right, cool. It's a third-person shooter. Kind of forgot that part, but then mixing in this time stuff where you're shooting around, running like the Flash, or putting down a time shield, or all this stuff. It's like, this game looks awesome. Like, and granted, I've only played, you know, two and a half hours, I guess, but I totally am in love.
It's one of the games that, you know, when they first announced it, I was super excited about, and I feel like they went radio silent for a long time, like really worked on it, and it was a long time before we saw anything, and even now, you know, I still feel like they're holding back a lot.
And that's and that was the thing of like, you know, like even when they were like, because they came over to let us do the Let's Play, and like I'm like, well, all right, where do we start for the best thing? Like, well, you know, Act 2, Part 1 or whatever is gonna be the best. I'm like, cool. Like, but you should play through everything. I'm like, I hate playing the games because then it ruins it when you play it. And that was the thing of like, playing through it, like there's already stuff happening that I wasn't expecting where I'm playing through, right? And there's all these hidden things that then level yourself up and get stronger. But then, you know, you get to these junction points where it's, you have all the gameplay, and then before you cut, you know how they have it mixed in with live action, like this TV show aspect, before you get there, they have these, I think they call them junction points, where you play in the game as the bad guys, and you make a decision that then drastically changes the game from there on out.
Because there's all these different cutscenes and variations on the cuts. Well, they're not cutscenes; they're TV episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're also cutscenes.
Exactly. I know, it's so confusing, right?
There's something.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's all these different variations on what you can get. I'm really interested to see, because we were just doing a news read about it, and one of the things that Eddie wrote about it is that the TV show episodes will give you tips on how to continue. But is it really tips, or is it just things that you can observe and then use?
You'd have to extrapolate from it the way I understand it.
Okay, so it's not like, hey, make sure you choose the green thing.
No. Well, it might be they say some dialogue like that if you ever see this kind of guy do this. But like the way it worked for me was in the game, you can again plow through the game, do whatever. But there was this one off the beaten path thing that we went and investigated, and it was Dominic Monaghan's character was like, oh well, this isn't right, and he changes this like formula or whatever, right? And they were like, now when you get to the live action part, you're gonna get an extra scene in that relating to that. That now has changed what's going to happen there. And then at the junction point, it was the bad guy from Game of Thrones, whose name I can never remember.
Littlefinger.
Yeah, Littlefinger. Yeah. And he walked up, and it was like, all right, we have this, you know, they're calling her this witness or whatever, right? And you get to make the choice on what we do with her, but that's going to drastically change how we handle everybody from here on out. He's like, the company will, you know, remember pretty much, right? And so it was that you can execute this girl, but then it's eventually going to get out that there were people and you killed them and everybody's going to hate the company, but we'll have, you know, managed the message. Or you can force her into this PR campaign and frame Sean Asmore, and then it'll go that way, right? And you make that choice, and then that then decides what you see in the next scene or whatever, like the actual episode, and then coming back, that changes what character you would get to talk to you to run you through this one part.
So, okay, so do you play both the good and bad guy?
From what I understand, the game is the good guys. You're playing the good guy role, but then these junction points leading you into the cutscenes are telling the story of the bad guy. So I don't think it's ever going to, and I don't know, because obviously I did the one. I believe it's that you're the bad guy in terms of like, I don't think you're going to be using your powers and shooting stuff and doing stuff. I think it's more like that's your transition to then go into the cutscene and make a choice that changes that.
Do you then try and make decisions that are going to help the good guy?
That was the thing. That was totally the thing.
Because I feel like that's probably what they want you to do, but I'm a depraved asshole in games, so I feel like I'm gonna be like, yeah, execute that bitch. Like I'm gonna be as evil as possible when I'm the bad guy.
You'll have like split personality, maybe.
Yeah.
You'll be setting
Well, that's what I was thinking, right? Because
Yeah,
it is that risk reward. Because it was basically like, you know, we could kill her and then it'll get out and people hate us, or we frame him and make his life tougher on him. Now
But
that he's
you're
out
the
there.
good guy, so you don't want that to
And so I was
happen.
like, fuck, well, I don't want her to die, so I chose to make life harder on my character going forward or whatever. But
I need to make the biggest, baddest little finger I can make to take. It'll be more satisfying when I take
understand
him down.
that, yeah.
I have a real hard on for Littlefinger. I won't lie.
he's a great actor.
I said in the chat earlier today, anyone who can deliver a passionate diatribe while two girls bang each other in front of him. Has me for life.
Right. If he can maintain your your attention.
And he did.
Yeah. He's good. He was also in Dark Knight Rises.
His name is like Aiden something.
He was at the very beginning. He was in the.
Oh right, yeah,
he was the
yeah,
CIA
yeah,
agent
yeah,
who takes
yeah,
Bane
yeah.
onto the plane. Yeah. Like as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, I got a little finger. Yes, brother. Yeah. So then, I'm super excited about Quantum Break, but they did have like I guess a little bit of bad PR or a weird bit of news that came out this week, which was the live action television shows are not stored on the disc or installed locally. Instead, they're being streamed via your internet connection.
You can install them locally on Xbox One, but not on PC for some reason. Which
To
doesn't
encourage
make
you to buy an Xbox One.
any sense. Yeah, like so you can download them like preemptively on the Xbox One, but you're downloading all the variations of all the cutscenes. So you're basically storing a bunch of stuff you're never going to use. But it doesn't know which ones you're going to use, which makes sense. But then for PC, like where that makes sense to download a bunch of stuff, you at this point they're not announcing anything.
Yeah, I think one of the articles I read about it, speculators, pure speculation, was that, oh, well, now PC gaming can go up to 4K, so those would be huge video files. It's like, well, yeah, but then why would you just introduce like a settings toggle or I want only the 1080 stuff or whatever.
Right.
It's a weird thing.
They went gold like 2 months ahead of time, so maybe they got time to patch it in still. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, why not? Like Ashley was saying in our story, like, why not add just like an extra disc that has the cutscenes on it? Like, pop it in, install it from there, or do something. You know what I mean? Like,
But I mean, the better question is just why play PC games at all?
How dare you?
There's no trophies or achievements. I don't want my Steam trading cards.
My favorite part is that you said there's no one gives a shit about trophies either, Greg.
Yes, they do.
No one gives a
I think
shit.
Greg does.
I think they all give a shit about
I think
it.
it's only you. Only you.
Greg's very
It
passionate.
is true. You and 3 other people very excited about your trophy reunion. There's no trophy hunters here at Rooster Teeth, okay?
I tried to register
I know
that
you're a
website
bunch of
once.
fanboys, and it's really disgusting.
I tried to register that website, but it's like a hunting website. Like
It's like Big Buck Hunter.
right? Yeah,
trophy
exactly.
hunt.
It's like that's what it is. At least it was when I looked like 5 or 6 years ago.
That's still popular, so I bet it still is.
So the other thing I'm worried about is on top of that, not being able. Now, if you don't have it installed locally, like what if Xbox Live goes down? You know, they've
We talked
had
about that
some
too.
issues last week or the week before.
Well, even then, if you own it and Xbox Live goes down, like I couldn't even launch Limbo last week. I was like, oh, Netflix isn't working. See if I can get that Limbo achievement I never got. Oh, I can't even. I own and have downloaded the game. Cannot play it.
If you're
Ridiculous.
on a PlayStation 4, though, just make sure you list your PlayStation 4 as your master console, and you can play all your downloaded games without having to connect to the PSN.
I think Xbox One, if you list it as your home console, it's slightly different.
Well, I can see why
terminology,
that screwed her up, but I'm just letting you know your PlayStation 4 how you fix it.
Same thing. So speaking of PlayStation 4,
Yeah. What horrible news do you have to deliver about PlayStation 4?
it's good news. They have they announced the beta for the 3.50 firmware.
Yeah, their next firmware, yeah. Because
and
if there's anything PlayStation fans love, it's firmware.
So I for the first time ever, I got it right before we came on. I got an email where I got invited to download the beta firmware. I've never gotten that before. No way in hell I'm installing.
Yeah,
it.
of course not. Yeah, it's a bad idea.
No,
A bad
For
idea.
For all the firmware they released that bricks PlayStation 4s, and that's to the public, don't join the betas.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate the email, but I'm not installing that.
Yeah.
But there were some really cool features in there. I saw. Let me see. So it's just some stuff that I feel like it should have been there earlier. Was like friend online notification.
Yeah, going invisible, right?
Appearing offline, and then one really cool feature, which I thought was an amazing idea, which was user scheduled events, which is basically like a calendar invite where you're like, hey, I'm going to be playing Last of Us at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. And I'll send you an invite, basically. Then at 7 p.m., just like automatically creates the party, starts up the game session, and we can start playing.
We are so old. Remember when you just went outside and were like, you want to play? Like now it's like, I've sent you a calendar invite. It'll be automatically starting at 7 p.m. Like I just feel like it's grown-ups now that play games, huh?
Sure.
As opposed to kids.
Well, when you got to schedule that 8-man Destiny raid,
Yeah,
right?
it's
And you got to
true.
remind everybody.
And I think it's great for stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, it is.
I'm super excited about that feature.
I'm excited about the appearing offline thing because Gus fucked me by putting my gamer tag out into the world, and now people add me like crazy.
Welcome to the club.
Thanks, Gus.
And then, so they also have the play together feature, which just seems weird to me. I guess it's like if you're in a party, everyone can see what every person is playing, so you can easily join or start a new game. It seems like, okay, it seems like that's a party.
It's the normal
functionality.
stuff with the PlayStation firmware. If it's like, okay, cool, you're doing stuff and that's rad, but it's like, why can't we change our names yet?
That's what
you know
it's in
what I
my
mean?
notes
Why
here.
can't you change your PlayStation name yet? And like, what the fuck are communities about? They put out communities and it's like, cool, we have the kind of funny one maxed out in a day, and now we have a second one, and it's like, There's no reason for me to go in and update the message of the day ever. You know what I mean? It's not like it's giving you notifications or driving you, but maybe these parties make it easier.
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of this is, seems like it's establishing. It's all very community and friend focused updates. So it seems like, maybe road mapping more features,
And
to build robust
they've talked
community.
at length about how, they weren't built for changing names and this, that, and the other. But then it's like the other most requested feature from PlayStation fans, right, is folders. So that it's not just an endless stream of boxes, right? Can I just make the A through Z folder and put all my games in there? Do this or multiplayer, give them the ability to jump in there and organize stuff, which even though, the cross-media bar was always a nightmare on PlayStation 3, you could still at least, flip it into folders and have different views, whereas right now it's just, running off.
And then they had 2 more features, one of which is in the beta, which is Daily Motion is now a destination for live streaming for all of the people who watch live streams on Daily Motion. Seems like a weird feature to me.
Daily Motion, I feel like, is where I find like news videos sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's such a strange pairing.
I can't wait for the Live Leak integration to start. And you watch a snuff film live from a PlayStation 4.
I thought that was
That's
just
called
Ustream.
PT. Ah.
And then another feature which isn't in the beta, but what I don't know why it's not in the beta. They said it's going to be in the full release. Is the ability to remote play to Windows PCs and Macs,
Right?
Which is something I think would be really, really cool. I already use that functionality on my Xbox to my Windows machine a lot.
Sure.
But being able to do it to a Mac would be way more useful for me.
Well, I thought you had something you want to talk about, especially when you're talking
I-
about your computer. So I want to let you segue into that.
Put down my iPad to talk about this.
Yeah.
I finally built I didn't build. I finally bought a desk for my home PC gaming setup, so I don't have to sit on the floor anymore, and I will no longer give myself hemorrhoids
Can you
from
get
playing games
hemorrhoids
too much.
from being in a too hard chair, though?
Maybe, but my chair has a cushion,
Oh, good.
so
Nailed it.
my butt is saved, and I'm so excited. I haven't gotten a chance to use it too much. Thank you. I haven't got a chance to use it too much because I was playing a lot of Life is Strange on my Xbox One. But now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go right back into XCOM 2 and plant my butt in that chair.
I love that you're saying it like, now my butt is saved by this new invention called a desk.
But called Gus going to the store and buying a desk. I was really lazy about it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a laptop. I'll just play
I'll just
on my
have
coffee
giant
table.
polyps in my ass. No big.
It wasn't big. It sucked. It was really bad. It motivated me. I was playing Shadowrun Hong Kong and sitting on a concrete floor for so long
How
that
long did you sit on the floor?
a weekend.
Jeez, that's
And,
wow.
Yeah, my butt revolted. My butt was not happy about that.
understand that, yeah,
So I've got a desk now for,
Okay.
for my PC gaming. So yeah, I'm gonna do XCOM 2. I'm probably only halfway through XCOM 2. I think I've got like 30 hours in that game, and I'm still only like halfway through it.
We I don't know if you saw in the no chat that we did. Eddie said he just started Undertale, and he was like, "Man, Tario's the best. She just made me a caramel bakey thing. We're best friends." And I love watching right before the road.
Wait for it.
Yeah, you just wait, buddy. I love when people start something like Undertale and are like, "Everything's going so well."
This is a great game. Yeah, then they fucking just twist the knife.
Yeah, they do.
So let's see here. So we're gonna. What was I say about Life is Strange? Anyway, whatever. So I'm excited about my desk. I'm excited about playing more PC games. I feel like this is a good segue for me to begin doing more PC gaming and then getting ready for VR headsets. The Vive.
When you won't sit at your desk at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I feel like a lot of it would be like. I think it's gonna be limited motion, like
Sure, of
limited range
course,
of
of
movement. You
course.
still really can't see with VR headsets strapped on. But I'm looking forward to playing Star Citizen with a VR rig. And
What
buying a new
about the
computer.
helmet that you have to put on your ship? Then you lose the helmet, and then they decide to strike that feature. You remember that?
No.
No, it was a menu feature for a while they worked on. Was like you had to go into your ship and put on a helmet to access the menu, but the helmet was movable and could be put anywhere in the universe, and people would lose the
Oh
helmet,
my
and it was the
God.
only way to get to the menu.
Oh
so they
my
were like,
god.
yeah, maybe not a good feature. Maybe we should strike that shit.
Or maybe like make sure you leave the helmet on the ship.
Tether
Like,
the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
As you walk out the door, you get an animation of the guy taking the helmet off and putting it in the helmet pod
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
right next to you.
So now it doesn't exist anymore.
So I guess the HTC Vive pre-order started and at $7.99 each, and they're coming out in early April. I feel like, did we talk about this already? That I feel like there wasn't as much revolt over the Vive price tag as there was
I think
over
at
the
this
Oculus
point we've
price
all
tag.
kind of just
I think,
realized.
yeah, it was. I think after the punch of Oculus, that's when everybody started changing their tune on how much Vive would cost and how much PSVR would cost, and it's like, I think you're expecting everything to be expensive now.
Yeah, I mean, and we've had no indication from Sony as far as like pricing for PSVR, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I will say that we made a joke in one of our news reads about the Vive being higher than Oculus, and people were like, "You guys are shilling for Vive because you didn't say how much higher." And it's like, it's fucking expensive. We all know that now. Like, you don't have to say every single time how much everything is because VR is going to be expensive. And the fact that people were so surprised by how expensive just, to me, shows the inexperience with introducing brand new technologies into the gaming space at this point. Like, this is not just a new console. This isn't just an iteration on a phone. This is a brand new technology space that people are really starting to build out on. Of course it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was and I guess I kind of expected it the whole time.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. Once Oculus came, and I think maybe it was just that the fact I think more people were excited for Oculus than Vive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Oculus had that
It just has a name.
run up, yeah, and then when Facebook got it, there was outcry over that, and then when it came out, there was outcry there. But I think Oculus set the tone of how much it's going to be.
And Oculus is supposed to start shipping by the end of March, right?
I think so.
I think like by late March, and I
like
think the Vive is shooting
Q1.
for April 5th. So I mean, we're going to start seeing these in people's
units
hands
are going to get in people's hands soon.
really soon. I was comparing the minimum system requirements for both of them, and it was surprising. Like, they're pretty much identical with a couple of minor differences. So both of them require an NVIDIA GTX 970 or better, or an AMD R9 290, processor of an i5 4590. I was kind of surprised that you get by with just an i5, but I guess it's more like GPU intensive than CPU. The Vive required 4 gigs of RAM, but the Oculus required 8 gigs of RAM. And then you get into like the real like specific stuff. Like the Vive requires HDMI 1.4, but the Oculus can get by with HDMI 1.3. Like, who knows on the top of their head like what
Honey,
HDMI
where did I
spec?
put the HDMI 1.4?
Yeah, where do I get the extra 0.1?
Monster will be selling a $100 version of that tomorrow.
Yeah, so
Gold-plated.
I'm excited for both of them. I went ahead. I pre-ordered a Vive like when they came out, and I pre-ordered an Oculus. So I'm super excited to get both of those.
Interesting
and
that you
start
did
trying them out.
both. You didn't pick. There was no loyalty there.
It's weird to say, but it's for work, right? It's
Right.
like I have to have both to be able to like compare and contrast and be able to talk about it here.
But why wouldn't you then? I guess maybe just because I'm frugal. But I would wait for Ryan to tell me, or because Ryan has them all. I would go over there and try them out and then pick one. But if you've got both at home, I mean, if you have the means, God bless you. But I just feel like that's so many headsets. Are you gonna also get like PSVR? Are you gonna get HoloLens? Like
Yes.
Are you also going to get a bunch of like styrofoam heads to have them on like in
Yeah.
the bat cave and have them like lined up?
I'm gonna get. Where's the head? Y'all had the head in the pre-show, right?
Yeah.
I got a bunch of
Yeah.
those and set them up at home. So yeah, speaking of, we're both terrible
all
with
doing
our mics. Speaking of HoloLens, I guess Microsoft also announced their HoloLens Dev Edition and shocked everyone with a $3,000 price tag.
I would drop it in a heartbeat. Tell me you're gonna give me HoloLens and it costs $3,000. I will save up my pennies to get it.
Damn.
That is how much I love it. Changed. I felt like I remember where I was when I put on the HoloLens for the first time. I was at E3. But it was honestly like the first time I've ever felt like I've tried on the Oculus and I I've done like the cardboard box thing and all
Sure,
that.
sure, sure.
But yes.
Yes.
But HoloLens was the first time I ever felt like I was truly in the future.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I
For
was
me,
truly like, oh, future.
I like HoloLens when I've used it before, but for me it was the first game unit, and it's not limited to just it, but PlayStation VR when I played Rez, and I was playing Rez and shooting all this stuff, and then the boss went behind me. I was like, all right, cool. And then I was like, wait a second, and turned around.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. Like, that's the
Yeah.
moment. And like, I know I had played Eve Valkyrie on Oculus, when that debuted at E3 years ago. And that was really cool, but not my kind of game, whereas this one experience was.
Yeah.
The thing that is most interesting to me, or most exciting to me about HoloLens is just like the different approach, like the whole augmented reality versus virtual reality.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you're not blocked off from the
Sure.
world. Like, I'm always afraid when I put like those VR headsets on that Jeff's going to come and kick me in the balls, or
Yeah.
like something's going to I'm going to trip.
I just feel like the thing about this, because we played Slender on the Oculus, and that was scary, sure, but I can't imagine playing a game like PT or Slender or something in HoloLens where it's my actual house, and I'm seeing something come through my wall. I don't think I already didn't think I'd be able to do horror gaming in VR, but I really won't be able to do augmented reality.
Right. Once you take the headset off, like your wall is still there.
Yeah, the wall is still there.
Right. You're like, there might be a monster back there.
It could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Guys,
But-
I turned my TV around when I was in high school so the ring girl couldn't get me. I'm not going to be able to deal with HoloLens.
So some of the stuff they showed, so they announced a few games, so I wrote some of this stuff down. Where is it? They announced that the dev editions are going to come with, it's only available in the US and Canada, and they're going to come with 3 games: Young Conquer, Fragments, and Robo Raid. And Young Conquer, I guess, is a Conquer
Bad
game
Fur
where
Day,
it's,
yeah.
he's younger, obviously. But they showed, so in the video, we just showed a little bit of it. In the video, they showed some really interesting stuff where I guess the device figures out, what's in your room, and Conquer interacts with it. Like if you have a couch, they show him like bouncing on the couch because he
Right.
realizes it's a couch. They show him like on a coffee table, and if he gets to an edge, like he's like, whoa, like he's gonna fall over. And that seems ridiculous. That seems absolutely crazy. I don't know how something like that would work.
I don't know how something like that would work, but I do know that at E3, it was an environment they had set up, absolutely. But the holograms were so responsive. I just felt like if I need to walk through and look at everything in detail for it to scan it, and then that's the room or whatever, like I believe it's gonna look just like it does in the demo. Like I believe it's gonna look that good because I felt like everything was so responsive. Like I was just blown away by it.
I felt like also in these demos for these videos that they just released, they started doing something which I don't remember them doing in previous videos, so correct me if I'm wrong, where you actually see the hologram, like in the Conquer video specifically, you see Conquer leave the edge of the viewable frame. Like, and it's kind of outlined to show you like this is really in space, this is where the hologram would live. So it seems like they're getting ready, because I feel like that's from people who've tried the HoloLens. I always hear that's the number one complaint. It's like, well, the field of view is not as big as you would expect, and I feel like this is beginning to like set the seed. Like this is what you can expect to see.
Can we see that again? Like, is there a way to pull that up?
I don't know if y'all can cue to like.
Do
a
we have the
specific
ability
moment.
to
Or just-
replay videos?
yeah.
Oh,
So
we
there it is.
do.
You can see
Oh,
it's shaded.
it's paused. Oh shit! Play the video.
But you can see the shaded area
Sure,
there.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
talking about, and then if we play it a bit, you should see Conquer maybe go through.
My thing with
edge
the
of
augmented
frame.
reality,
It's okay,
the,
keep it going.
The
We'll
HoloLens
eventually-
thing is that it all looks cool, but it all looks super tech demo-y.
I
And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I know that's how it all
See, it goes
starts.
off the edge there.
yeah.
But like, I'm interested to see where the game
Thank
comes
you.
in. You know what I mean? Where it isn't just that. Cool, I put it on and something's bouncing on the table. Like even the Minecraft one was cool at E3, where they like went in and went through the world. But then I was like, that's not how you play Minecraft. You don't look
Yeah.
through the world to figure out where you want to dig and stuff. Whereas like I feel like with VR, you put it on and you're in a game.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Granted,
No,
that took a
that's
long time
true.
too
Yeah.
to get there, because I remember the original VR demos using Oculus V1, where I'm just sitting on a throne or whatever in like a throne room. And I'm like, cool, it's an interactive painting. You know what I mean? Like I understand that comes, but with them finally putting a price tag on it and talking about stuff, I'm interested to see how it works in terms of what I want to play.
And I'm curious to see moving forward, like if it becomes, I don't even know what their plans are with it. Like if it's going to be a consumer product or aim towards business. The fact they're shipping games with it makes me think it is, a consumer product
Yeah.
that they're shooting for. The Vive and the Oculus dev kits were much cheaper than the actual consumer product.
Yeah.
The HoloLens dev kit is $3,000.
Yeah.
Like, is that going to increase, when we actually see a final consumer product?
It could. I also think they're kind of just trading off the fact that VR is really hot right now, and it must be very expensive to do what they're doing with HoloLens. Like they felt, and I can't imagine it being just something that was really light, because at E3 it was like a honking thing. It felt like on my face, like. So I think the price tag would come down for the consumer model. I don't see it coming down much. I mean, I would be shocked if it were less than $2,500.
Wow.
Well, so it's interesting that you say that, because so they released, we keep showing that Conquer video, but they released 3 different videos. One for Conquer, one for Fragments, and one for Robo Raid. And each of them is like a 2.5 minute long video. And the first minute is, here's the game that we're creating. And then the last half of the video is always like, this device is a Windows 10 device. Like then they spend the back half of the video talking about how it's a computer. Like they're setting it in your mind like, this is going to be expensive. You're buying a computer you're putting on your face.
Yep. And that's what I'm saying. Like $2,500 for a VR device or an AR device really is insane when you're going up against the Vive that's $799 and an Oculus. But I think it's worth it. I feel like you put it on your face and you're sold if
seems
you
like
can afford it.
The difference is, and this is I'm just totally reaching here. I'm just trying to justify. It's like you buy the Vive, right? You pay $800 for a Vive. You still need to buy the computer as well. So it's like it's the bundled price tag. Whereas, like I keep saying on the back half of these videos, they're selling you like this is the only device you need. You don't need the other stuff. But it's not really a computer replacement either. Like
No.
if you buy your computer to use with the Vive, there's other things you can do with it. This seems like this is the only thing you can do with it.
It also seems, though, like you put a Vive on your face, you're playing a game. That's what you're doing with the Vive. The HoloLens, as they showed it off at E3, was like, yes, you can play Minecraft, you can do this Conquer thing, sure. But you can also see your calendar invites and put things on your house. And it seemed more of like a lifestyle device, as opposed to almost like a Google Glass type thing, as opposed to just a gameplay device.
Yeah, and so then, I mean,
Don't forget about VR porn then.
Yeah.
on top
Can I get AR porn? That's what is really crazy.
Is it for pirates? It's R porn. So on top of the games, they also said that the dev editions are going to ship with Skype, Holo Studio, Holotor, and ActionGram. So I guess Holo Studio like lets you snap shapes together to create 3D images. Holotour is like a tour of the world. You go to famous landmarks and you can like see them, and you can. I guess they said it shows off like the spatial sound capabilities of the device.
Cool.
And ActionGram, which is mixed reality capture. I guess like filming VR stuff or AR stuff.
I am not ready for. I'm not ready for technology as it is now. I'm definitely not ready for where technology is going to go. And the reason that I say that is because you said it shows off the directional like audio of the HoloLens. I already can't handle directional audio. I was running and listening to zombies run, and somebody behind me said something, and my headphones made it like it was actually behind me, and I jumped in the air and screamed in the middle of the street. Like, I just absolutely was like, ah! And I looked around me, and there was nobody there, and I was so confused. I was like, I gotta get like headphones that only do this thing, because it's too much already.
Old lady Turney.
I'm too frightened of the world.
Audio these days.
So many drivers.
But I'm really curious to see, where the future goes. Like, if you draw the line out, this makes me think of early cell phones. Like, you had to carry a bag with a giant battery, and it was heavy, and it sounded like shit. But, now we all carry supercomputers in our pocket, essentially. Like, drawing the line out 20, 25 years, will we have this device where it's just like, oh, it's just an add-on for your glasses, like a reflective clothing. It's like, oh, you want to add AR to your glasses, add little speakers, then it's just like anything else you carry with you.
That's what I was talking about with Google Glass, right? Is like, you couldn't pay me to wear Google Glass right now, but as soon as they boil it down to a pair of frames or whatever, where I can have, of course I want that. That sounds awesome.
Even then, like, it's insane to me that Google Glass was, like 3-4 years ago that people could buy into that program. Like, that's crazy that it was so long ago, and that you could say things to a pair of glasses or gesture with your head at a pair of glasses, and then it did stuff and it worked. Like, that's insane to me that we're already there. So I don't think it's 20-25 years that you're going to get an add-on for your glasses. I think that's 5 years from now.
I think it's that long, just if no other reason, for battery technology. Batteries are so heavy and like so shitty.
Think about things like hearing aids have batteries.
Yeah, but they're not
tiny.
like, they're not putting visuals in front of you, and speak. Well, I guess they are doing audio, but
they're doing audio.
I think like the display aspect. That's what I think drains a lot of battery. Like, we're gonna have to get to the point where you have like really thin, low power OLEDs, that can be integrated into glass.
What did Google Glass's battery life look like? Does anybody know how long the battery life was?
I know Jack had one, but I always made fun of him, so he
just stopped wearing it and put it down in the drawer.
No, I have no idea. Huh. But yeah, it's always battery and processing power,
But even if we start with something, we were talking earlier today about the Sidekick and how when we started Googling things on it and it took 3 minutes to get your results back, it was still like, fuck yeah, I'm out in the world and I'm getting my Google results. If your glasses are tiny, but they take 5 minutes, but still it's on your glasses. I mean, maybe we don't wait for it to be as powerful as our iPhone in our eye. We take a step back. The iPhone.
Your eyes phone.
Yes.
I'm super excited. I feel like, between the VR stuff with the Vive and the Oculus and the AR stuff with the HoloLens, I feel like, we're on the cusp maybe of, something bigger. And for the longest time, I'm the biggest VR skeptic,
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't until we started getting, later iterations of devices here that I've tried the Vive, I've tried the Oculus, where like finally now I'm starting to come around like, okay, I can see that there are games where this will work for it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I'm definitely late in singing the praises of this stuff.
But I mean, that's the whole thing. Is it's really going to be interesting because I think this is the first chance it has to work and be cool and be awesome. But it's like it still needs early adopters out the wazoo. And will there be enough? You know what I mean? Like
but the thing is, like, people shit on the $7.99 price tag, but then it was sold out. The pre-orders were sold out in a minute.
I think they said they sold 15,000 units in 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I mean, there are a ton of people who are very excited. I think I'm more nervous for, and this is one of the things that Oculus was saying before, maybe like 6-ish months ago, is there are going to be hiccups and things that don't exactly work right. You don't expect this to be the end product for VR at this point. Like, you have to treat it like a prototype.
Right. That was the same way for us when I was, when they announced PlayStation VR, I was like, this is going to be PlayStation Move again. Like, Sony's jumping into this, copying other people, even though they've been working on it, I don't know, forever, but they're jumping into a pool they're not dedicated to. And the reason Move failed, right, is that Move came out and the launch lineup was, you know what I mean? There was no, like, stellar great one, right? Mm-hmm. So nobody bought Move. Then none of the games sold. Developers looked at those numbers and were like, why would I make a Move game? And nobody made Move games. And that's what I was worried about happening with VR. And still could happen even if it is a success. Mm-hmm. Even if it comes out and people are like, these games are great. If not enough people are buying them, no one's going to be there to infuse the money to developers to make this worth their while.
I just did some math.
Oh,
15,000 units at $800 is $12 million.
Wow.
So they sold $12 million of product in 10 minutes.
And that's the thing, and it's interesting because you do have Vive, you do have Oculus, and you do have Sony doing this, right? And like interviewing the Sony people in my line of work, right? When you talk to them, the way they talk about it is that they are treating this like the launch of the original PlayStation. Like this isn't the end for them. They wanted, you know, in 20 years they're gonna look back and talk about it. And like it's one of those things where that sounds PR-y, but the people who are telling me aren't telling me in a PR-y sense. You know what I mean? This is like over drinks, we're out to dinner, we're talking about this. And the way they want to talk and believe in it makes me want to believe in it more.
But that's what's so cool, right? Is that people have the foresight to know that not everything's going to be a success
Yeah.
and to like soldier on just for the sake of the technology. Like
Sure.
that's such a cool way to look at something.
But the worry always is, right, that it is a business. And so even if you have leadership right now who's like, no, we're invested and it's going to be rough going and da-da-da-da, when they get replaced, does the next person believe that, you know what I mean, look at Xbox, right? When they did come out, we're like, entertainment, we're doing this is the Xbox One. And then, boom, everybody got out and Phil had to come out and be like, cool, we're games. Games.
Yeah.
I was literally just I was cutting the Xbox One reveal, and Don Matrick in his sad little face. I miss it. Even when he was smiling, he looked like a sad father, and I just wanted to give him a hug. Like he just has like this like he was introducing the Xbox One, and you could tell he was like, we fucked up a little bit here, but I gotta keep going. Everything's fine. Things aren't going as well as we thought. Keep going, Don.
I'm gonna go back to the Move real fast.
Yeah.
The thing that drove me crazy about the Move was,
Everything.
well, yeah, but I never bought one. But I was a huge fan of Heavy Rain on the PS3. Loved that game. And then sometime later, you know, I played it when it first came out, finished it, loved it. Then sometime later, I went back to play it. I was like, oh yeah, I want to go back and replay Heavy Rain. Booted it up, you know, patch to patch, went through it, started the game. By default, it expected Move controls because the Move had launched. I was like, I don't own a Move. What do I do?
Get out of here.
Yeah, I was like, how do I? God damn it! Like, why would you default to that? So I was just like, fuck it. So I just like put a bad taste in my mouth. It was like they came and like knocked my ice cream out of my hands.
Well, now it's back on PlayStation 4 with none of that crap, so you're fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that just launched last week, right? Was it this week?
Tuesday.
Yeah. So I that was a game I really liked.
Dude, Heavy Rain's awesome.
I'm gonna go
And
back
that's
and
did
play
you
it.
like Beyond?
I was not a fan of Beyond.
Yeah, nobody was.
Yeah.
And then, except people who want to claim they were and you weren't. But yeah, that was the thing. I want to replay Beyond now on PlayStation 4 because they did that thing where they took it and put in the ability to play it chronologically, which for me was the huge misstep of that game. Like, what? Why is she doing this? What the hell's going on?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm super excited about that. But if I were I'm a big proponent of digital games and buying stuff digitally and downloading it. This is one of the moments where, like Heavy Rain would be one of the moments where I would want a physical release because when you bought the physical release on the PS3, it came with a little origami. You could make You could, while you waited for the game to install, you could fold origami.
I don't know if you know that you can fold origami at any time.
Right, but
They
like
have
it came
paper
with the
just for that.
paper, it came with the lines.
Sure,
it was
I can build Legos anytime. It's cooler to do it at Lego Dimensions when I'm sitting there.
Yeah. But you were talking about, Phil Spencer, kind of pivoting Xbox One from this entertainment platform to a games platform.
Right.
So similar to Sony releasing the 3.5 beta, Xbox just rolled out new features as well to their preview program. Where are they? I've got them written down here somewhere. Oh, here they are. So they've got some good ones, and then they've got some strange ones.
Okay.
So good ones are things like, I lost it again. So you can now purchase 360 games directly on the Xbox One, which is good. I mean, they now solves backward compatibility. It was a pain in the ass before. Now streamlining it makes much more sense. Now you can broadcast party chat during Twitch broadcasts, which is really cool, and it notifies your party that they're being broadcast.
Hey,
and
this is a live mic.
and it gives them the option to opt out.
Oh, nice.
Be like, don't broadcast my mic, which I think is like that's like some technical wizardry
Sure.
to me. Like, that's pretty cool.
PSN would literally explode if you tried to do that.
Oh, so you want to change your name? Oh.
And then one of the weird ones is party chat for up to 16 people. I can't imagine what chaos that is.
Fuck.
What, like, I understand, like, maybe like wanting to hang out and shoot the shit with your friends, but I can't imagine 16 people playing a game and trying to talk all at the same time.
Is there a way, and I'm sure that there is, but I have not investigated, is there a way to turn off people who are not on my friend, who I am not friends with?
You can
From
mute
sending me
individually.
like party invites, and then because I
Let me tell you the problem. Let me tell you the problem
Please
here,
tell
Meg.
me, Gus.
What happens is you can set all of that, and you can make it so that you won't get these messages or these notifications. but the second you log into another box, it resets those permissions to the default setting. So it then re-enables all of these messages.
No, I'm somebody who floats between two boxes.
I am somebody who
Gus.
floats between boxes as well. So it's a gigantic pain in the ass, and it's something that they need to fix.
It really sucks because it's like, hey, party, I don't fucking know you. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go home, gonna rent a movie, gonna watch it on my Xbox.
Oh, first world problems. We're
friend
too popular
request.
on the
I'm so
internet.
popular. People want to be my friend. I just want to watch a movie.
Yeah, I don't want to be in your party. You go away now.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what the problem is.
Really bothers me. We also talked about earlier today people changing gears. The Xbox One always being always on originally, taking that, saying whoops, shouldn't have done that. Do you think Quantum Break will do the same thing?
What do you mean?
For
Quantum
putting-
Break shouldn't always be on?
Well, they're saying people are saying that like with the streaming cutscenes that it's a way of them actually getting some sort of DRM check that you have to be connected to the internet all the time to get your streaming cutscenes.
Oh, I think that's conspiracy
Oh,
theory
you too
stuff.
tinfoil hat for you?
Yeah, a little too far out there. Don't get me wrong, I love a good conspiracy theory.
Loves me a good conspiracy.
I think it's just a side effect. I think it's just an honest problem. You know, it's just like a side effect of having all these different branching potential cutscenes. And it's like, how do you get all of this compressed and down and make it look good on a disc? You should be able to. That's probably like they don't want people ripping all of the video files and then posting it all on YouTube. I imagine that's the only reason. But whatever. I don't know. That's
I could buy
speculation.
I can buy the conspiracy theory, right? Because theoretically, then if you're putting it up on a torrent site or whatever, or you're ripping it that way, then maybe if it does have to ping to get them, it can check if it's an actual authorized purchased copy of it. Because back to the Heavy Rain example, right? When you're talking about how you loved the physical release, there was an interview with David Cage, right, when they were leading into Beyond Two Souls, talking about the fact that what sucked is that Heavy Rain, if you went to PSN trophies and saw how many people had the trophies, right? It was something like 7 million people had it, but only 5 million copies of the game had been sold. So they were like, we know.
That might have been resale also.
Sure, it could have been,
Yeah.
but I mean, resale's the same problem, right?
Yeah.
Resale problem is there's still no money going to the developer,
Yeah.
just as if I lent you the game or whatever, you're not paying them.
Yeah, but I mean, there are some exceptions. So, I mean, the example I can think of, like the counter argument I can think of to that is, my wife doesn't normally play games.
Yeah.
She saw me playing Heavy Rain. She was so interested, she also played it.
Sure.
That's the only PS3 game she ever played. So it's like she also has those trophies as well.
That's the whole thing is, yeah, there's pros and cons to it, right? Of course, because I could give it to you, you could play it now and be like, no, this is awesome. And then, yeah, when Beyond comes out, you buy it, or you're excited now for Detroit. You know what I mean? Like, there is word of mouth to it of spreading the content out that way.
But yeah, that was a fantastic game.
I have another question. You mentioned the Xbox 360 games on Xbox. Have there been any other PlayStation Classics announced other than that first group of
For
I think it
PS2?
was like 4?
Yeah, Dark Cloud and GTAs and all that
Like
stuff.
Parappa the Rapper was one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, they put out more. I don't think they've announced more, but they put out a second wave of them, maybe even a third.
I think a lot. So I think right now they might be having like an identity crisis with that, where it's like, do they keep releasing that, or do they push people to like PS Now, where you can stream?
I thought, I mean, making that move, I thought was kind of them admitting like, PS Now is not working the way we wanted it to.
Well, PS Now's prices were really crazy too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a pricing structure problem there. It seems
Yeah.
almost like it should just be, an on-demand service where it's like an extra couple bucks. If you have PS Plus, it's like an extra couple bucks or something, and you get access to the whole.
It's one of those
library.
things where the writing on the wall that I don't know if you should believe or whatever, right, is that they don't talk or publicize PS Now. They rarely talk about PlayStation View anymore. It's like, this is how PlayStation Music went out, right? They did these things, the install base never came. All right, let's slowly get out of it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Yeah, PS Now has always been interesting, especially when you talk about like, no matter what, there's a little bit of latency. You know what I mean? And then it's just like, well, then I can't play this platformer or any of these other games. Why would I get into this?
There was when I was at PSX back in December, there was a really long line at the PS Now booth.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, people must really be excited about, PlayStation Now. I was like, I'm gonna go check out what's going on. So I'm like walking around, I'm like, oh, these people are all trying to check in on the app.
Yep.
They think they need to check in on PS Now, but they actually need to check in like on PlayStation Network. It's like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
the next booth over, like, oh, all these people are in the wrong place. Like,
Right. They wanted to get their trading cards or whatever.
Right. It's like,
checking on
oh,
those machines.
I was like, oh, that's kind of sad. Like I felt kind of bad for the people like working the booth because
Sure.
like, oh, we got a big crowd. Oh, they don't realize
nobody's
they're
here
in the
for
wrong
Yeah,
place.
they don't
Nobody
care
wants
about you.
Yeah, but
Yeah. I asked about the PlayStation Classics because I recently started listening to the Busted Groove soundtrack again.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite PlayStation games, PS1 game, and someone in the office has it. And I was like, man, I wish that was on PS4. Like I could get a new version of Busted Groove. It's such a sad, neglected little title that nobody cares about. But that's the thing is like, if they're gonna, why don't they come out with their full library? Like I would pay I don't know how much money a month to have access to all of the games they've ever released.
Right, but
How
then
does
I think
that-
it's
how does that
isn't it's it was built before the digital future, like licensing, right? I mean, I remember when Crazy Taxi's available to download, great, and you jump in and had none of the songs. And you're
Yeah.
like, wow, this sucks.
Yeah.
Where
oh,
the
Bust the
hell?
Groove.
is
A
the
plus to
offspring?
whoever in the booth found that so quickly.
That's pretty
I
fast.
definitely didn't say I was going to talk about it or anything. It's such a good game. I love that freaking game.
Yeah, I did not remember it until I saw it, and I know that game.
I think Britney Dance Beat was superior.
How dare you? How dare you?
sir?
Kidian is offended. That's one of the names of the characters.
Okay. We're just about out of time. We got like a minute or two left. But the one last topic I want to talk about before we go was Activision announcing they're not going to have
right.
a booth at E3 this year.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're
following-
going to be supporting the Call of Duty launch.
Well, they're going to be,
Or-
and they're going to rely on partners to showcase their games, like Sony,
Yep.
and showcase their games that way. So, I mean, EA's out, or they're doing their
They're
EA
doing their off
thing.
the weekend before.
Activision's out. Is this, do you think that this is the signal of like the decline and the end of E3, or is just like an iteration? Like, are we going to see a revamp of the show?
I don't think it's the decline of E3. I think companies do this all the time. You saw it with the PS4, you saw it with the Xbox One. They both announced outside of E3, where traditionally you would announce a brand new console at E3. I think a lot of people think they're going to get lost in the news shuffle of E3, which is a legitimate concern. But I think that we learned this past year when Fallout 4 was announced and Fallout Shelter was announced. If you give people what they want and you have a badass game to showcase, people are going to cover you regardless.
But I don't think EA and Activision have to worry about not getting coverage. It's
But
like
I
the
think
two
they
biggest
do. I mean,
publishers.
think about EA's press conference last year. They brought up fucking Pele. Nobody gives a shit about Pele, and I will continue to say nobody gives
No,
a shit
you're
about Pele.
you're 100% right. It's not that they don't have to worry about it. It's that they worry about the fact that they are never going to be the big guns. When you talk about E3, you talk about Microsoft, you talk about Sony ending the day, you talk about what is Nintendo going to do on the Direct the next day. Whenever it gets to the Ubisoft EA one, it's kind of like all right, cool, another press conference.
Yep.
Let's see.
Come on, Aisha Tyler,
Yeah,
you show us
exactly.
what we have this year.
Or you feel like they give their big exclusives or their big announcements to the hardware manufacturers,
yeah.
and then they're left with smaller titles.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So
I
it's smart,
think-
and it's the same thing with what Bethesda did, right? Where they had stuff to announce and they got out in front, and that's what you expect EA to do, right? We have this event, we'll do this little thing at the end before it actually gets going.
So then, do you think EA is gonna preempt any Xbox or PlayStation conference and make their own announcements at their thing, and then just leave the hardware manufacturers with nothing?
Well, I don't think they're going to leave them with nothing. And also, I mean, like when you think about an EA again, I'm thinking of a sports game. I'm
Yep.
thinking of some racing games. I'm not thinking of anything that I'm like, fuck yeah, did you guys see at the Xbox conference? EA said, like, I don't give a shit. Like, they're properties that I don't care about. So I think they're going to try and get out in front, and they are going to have their own news day. We're going to be covering what they're talking about because
That's where they'll show Mass Effect. and
Yeah,
they'll
like-
show you this new taste of it.
yeah,
Here you go.
like
get excited.
leading up to E3, there's such a news drought. They're definitely going to help fill that.
Yeah.
But then as soon as Xbox and Sony come out, we're going to be talking about
That's
them
all
again.
we'll talk about. Who won, and it's always who won it, and it's never.
I hate
Ubisoft.
that question.
Who won E3?
Like, why does someone have to win?
Because that's
how
life
it
is
works.
competition, Gus.
You know who wins?
who?
Gamers.
Oh.
We all win.
That's
we
such a
win.
nice feel-good answer. And also, hopefully, I think Dave Oshry tweeted this, more room for indie games now that they're not going to be on the floor of E3.
Yeah.
So more butt-sniffing pugs.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's where we. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where
I was like, I
discovered it
said,
last
I was like,
year.
that was
Yeah,
my
yeah.
game of show, man. Butt-sniffing pugs.
All right. Well, we're out of time. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Thanks, Greg Miller from
Thanks for
Kinda
having
Funny
me.
for watching. Go check out kindafunny.com.
Wow.
for-
Fuck the whole studio crew for not.
I can't clap for
Greg
myself.
Miller, thank you. Jackasses.
Thank you. Clapping home, everybody. Periscope yourself clapping when I'm off here. And I'll watch.
All right. We'll see y'all next week. Stay tuned for Game Club. Life is Strange.